This is the 259th Taiku, 259, Gematria Ruvain. 259th Taiku, which means the 259th unresolved, unanswered question in the Babylonian Talmud. It's in tractate Chulin 30b, Lamed Amid Beis. And as I explained in the previous video, what you're seeing here is the effort or the attempt to carry the light of Purim and stretch it out as long as possible. This is my Purim costume, Purim outfit, whatever, Purim specialty for this year. And there was such a light, such an energy, such a force of joy and happiness and light on Purim, especially in Jerusalem. Just the whole city is just electric. Just an amazing day. The air is just, I wanted to capture some of that, and I think my attempt at doing that is keeping this costume, this hat that I wore on Purim, and taking it into the year for a certain amount of time to stretch that light out, as it were. So this is the 259th Taiku. As you may have been watching my other Taiku videos, I had a project to cover all of the unanswered questions in the Babylonian Talmud, based on a book by a particular rabbi. I believe he's from Ramat Beit Shemesh in Israel. And he wrote a book called Taiku. It's a compilation of all these unanswered questions. And I went through them one by one, starting on June 19th of 2025, which is fascinating because that day is also connected to Purim, believe it or not. Not June 19th per se, but the Hebrew date that was June 19th was the 23rd day of Sivan. And if you remember reading in the Megillah, that specific date, 23 Sivan, the 23rd day of the third month, is the day that the scribes sent out the letters essentially signifying the victory of Israel over their enemies. Because these letters were letters that said that the king is now supporting the Israelite, the Hebrew people, the Jewish people fighting against their enemies. And this can mean two things, because I heard a question raised, and I had the same question for many years. Why do you need permission to fight? If your back is against the wall, you fight, live or die, you're going to fight. You don't need permission. But the answer to that is, and this Rabbi, Israel Wolf actually, or Reuben Wolf answered, he said it's very possible. He compared it to Donald Trump and Israel. It's like Donald Trump supported Operation Roaring Lion by Epic Fury. And so he compared it to like, it could be Achashverosh actually supported the Jews at the time, militarily possibly, or financially, or whatever. Both. But also, my answer to that was, it's not necessarily that he helped, but we know how we say that the name of God isn't mentioned even once in the book of Esther, but he's all over the book of Esther. Just you can't see him. You can't see his name spelled out, but he's behind every scene, every circumstance, every event. So the same thing here. Sometimes when it says, it's been said that sometimes when it says the king, it's you can see it in two ways. You can see it's Achashverosh, but really it's God, because he's really above. He's pulling the strings of what's going on all the time. So my answer was that when the king gave permission for the Jews to fight back, it's signified that God would miraculously make them win. they would have God's approval. Like anytime the Jews went to battle, King David would ask, and if God said, "Go to battle, I've given them into your hand," and then they would win. So that was the same thing. That's how I interpreted it before I heard this answer, which is more of a physical answer, but it works. It could be both. But anyway, that was the day that these letters were sent out, and I started this Taiku program on that day, the day that in the Megillah is after they already won. So I basically started from the end. I started from knowing the end. And then it's actually, we're coming to an end. We're not exactly end yet, but we have just about a month left. Let's see. We're in the there's 317 Taikus. So we have about 57 or 58 Taikus left. So as we're approaching the end of it, we have just entered now, Operation Roaring Lion. Back then, that was in the 12-day Iran-Israel war, and it was Operation Rising Lion, a rising lion cub. Now it's Roaring Lion. And so, with that, this is the 259th Taiku in the Babylonian Talmud. Chulin 30b. Tachas ha'or k'sheira be'rav amri tachas ha'or en yodea. The Gemara proceeds to analyze the second part of that which Rav Yehuda says, that Rav says, if one concealed the knife beneath the hide of the neck, and then he cut both simanim in the standard manner, the slaughter is valid. The school of Rav say that Rav says that in a case where one conceals the knife beneath the hide and cuts the simanim of the animal, I do not know whether the slaughter is valid or whether it is not valid because he concealed the knife during the slaughter. Ibailuhu, a dilemma was raised before the sages. Lebeirav dam mitachaso, and yodea tachas mitalis ma'u, tachas tzemer misubach ma'u, teiku. A dilemma was raised before the sages. According to the opinion of the school of Rav, who say that beneath the hide I do not know, if one concealed the knife beneath the cloth that is around the animal's neck, what is the halacha? If one concealed the knife beneath tangled wool, it says talus, maybe a talus, but tangled wool on the neck of a sheep, what's the halacha? If one concealed it beneath a talus or tangled wool. Here they don't say talus, they just say tangled wool. What's the halacha? The Gemara concludes, we don't know. According to Rav, we don't know what would be if you, I don't see what the difference would be. If it's covered, it's covered, but apparently it just says if it's covered. It says if you conceal the neck. So why should it make a difference if it's wool or a talus? Why should it make a difference? Well, that's one. I guess that's one of my own Taikus. That would be Taiku 259A or 259B, maybe. Yeah, we need to wait for the Messiah to come for this one. We're not going to know until the Messiah comes. That's how the tradition goes. When the Messiah comes, then Elijah the prophet answers the question. And another question that I have is, why Elijah? Why Eliyahu? Why not the Messiah? Well, Taiku on that as well.